What's up? What's up, y'all? It's the man in the place to be. JP to the. Let's make sure Instagram come on. Instagram is always a little slow, but Instagram is on now. Where y'all logging in at? Man? Where y'all logging in from, bro? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let me make sure we tapped in everywhere we need to be tapped in at. Definitely, definitely. All right. Okay, we looking good. There we go, y'all. We tapped in, majorly tapped in. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Okay. All right, y'all. I don't usually wait super long. So let's get to the action. First thing first, y'all. If you are not following me, follow me on all social media at Chosen One Jackpot. That's on everything: Facebook, Instagram, um, YouTube, uh, TikTok, Twitter, X, Blue Sky. Man, there's so many social media platforms. Sometimes I log into the social media platforms just to get the at Chosen One Jackpot. I just want to get my tags and my handles before somebody else get their hands on it. So um definitely log into all that. Chosen1jackpot.com too. It's the number one. It's always the number one. Chosen One Jackpot. Chosen1jackpot.com. Follow me on all social media. I have not been consistent with these lives, but I'm here now. And I made my first news clip in a long while today. And today I talked about this, right? So this is the big news that was sent to me today. This was sent to me today. This is big. It's big. It's not as big as it could be because of other implications. As I state right here, um, the chairman still has to deal with a state case. So even though Trump commuted his federal sentence, he still has to go back to Illinois and deal with a state case, and it's a state murder case. So this could still be a uphill battle for the people on the ground moving, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. And without one foot, the other foot, it wouldn't matter. So we're gonna talk about the implications, right? So if you are not familiar with who Larry Hoover is the founder and the chairman of Growth and Development, also known as um, the Gangster Disciples. This is a gang that was started in like the late 60s, maybe mid to late 60s. I don't want to go into all of the particular details. I obviously know the details, but I don't want to get into all of that. It's a bigger thing at stake here. Um, Shout out to all of the brothers of the struggle and the sisters of the struggle. I am myself a part of the 720 and growth and development. I am familiar with the going ons of the free Hoover, free Larry situation. But I don't want to make this like a personal thing. I want to talk about the overall value of leadership being returned back to the streets. So in in the history of um us being here, us meaning African Americans or black people being here, a lot of attacks have been on the leadership. And that is not by chance. It's always if you cut them at the head, then the body to follow. So the leadership, sometimes the leadership has done things that were technically against the law. Sometimes leadership has done things that may not have appeared right in the sight of society. But what we have to understand, and shout out to my brother Phil, about gangology is that sometimes your circumstances they give you a certain type of character. They give you a certain type of option. They give you a certain type of either you do or you don't, right? You either you do or you die. So sometimes what appears to be options are not options. Sometimes what appears to be um something within your control may not be within your control until you reach a certain level of enlightenment to where you understand that these things are not um in your control, and you start to do things a lot differently. So as I stated earlier, I have been an active gang member since I was about 7 years old. And in doing that, I did not understand a lot of the things that I understand now because my family was gang members. I am in Detroit now, and it's not. Detroit wasn't necessarily the biggest gang city, but I grew up in Ben Harbor, Michigan, which is basically on the first city from Michigan that if you leave Chicago, we call Chicago the city, and it's full of gang members. So I didn't understand the implications of being in a gang. I didn't understand certain things. It was literally a way of life. So we look at things a certain way and we feel like we understand them, or we feel like we know what's going on, and we don't really know what's going on. And I was a kid. I didn't understand what being in a gang was. These were my friends, these were my family. Um, in certain instances, we have uh, options that are not really options, and that's some of the things that I want to get across in this live. And I'm trying to choose my words wisely because I never wanted to appear that I am advocating any type of violence or advocating any type of negative things. And I have grown beyond a lot of the different things that I've learned as a child, and the things that I was involved with as a teenager and in my early adulthood. I have grown to be a very productive citizen, and I will never say that certain things are okay, but I will say that I understand. And a lot of people are on the outside looking in, and they cannot say that they understand because they honestly don't understand. And they are not expected to understand. But let's talk about it anyway. So, as I stated, I grew up in Benton Harbor. So, most of the city is like a project. So it was three different projects when I grew up. It was Vineyard Projects is my project, um, and our own set of gangsters, which was Vineyard Gangsters VYGs, which is basically a set of disciples. So um, growing up, you had another project that was Bus Projects, and then you had Highland Project, and you had to protect your turf. So as a kid, I understood that the vice lords wasn't allowed over here, or this wasn't allowed to go on over here, and if it was, it had to be dealt with. It didn't always mean that somebody had to die or anything so dramatic, but you got to protect your turf. As fast as you let up ground, you have people that's willing to take what you've earned or take your reputation. And Ben Harbor is a city that it was the murder capital in 97 maybe. Like, we've had our instances of things getting a lot out of control. It's been a little better lately, but we had the riots of 2003. We had different things, and it's a small city. The population in Ben Harbor is only about 10,000 now. It may have been 12,000 in or something similar, but um, this is basically a a project inside of a project, like multiple projects inside of a project. And the education level was low. And then they had similar water problems like Flint had a little more recently, and different things like that. And this is right outside of a city called St. Joseph, that is basically like the Hollywood of Michigan. It's right off the water. It's a beautiful city, and it's just a bridge between the cities. And you see this nice, wholesome place where everything is well taken care of, and it's a lot of white people that they're catering to, and the court is over there, and the county jail and everything else is over there. But in Ben Harbor, you don't see any of this. Ben Harbor is run down, and they don't take care of the streets, and it's liquor stores on every corner, and it's a very dilapidated place. And you don't see a lot of hope in Ben Harbor. We had a couple basketball players like Pig Miller, or it was a couple people, and then you had like Sinbad or whatever. Like, you had a couple people that was close to Ben Harbor. Vivica Fox had ties to Ben Harbor and different things, but you didn't have people that was just in Ben Harbor. Like, I just bumped into Jalen Rose the other day at an event. He's just in the city. You didn't see that, and it was nothing there to be there for, right? So the city is basically overwrought with poverty and a lack of inspiration. So I did not feel inspired in Ben Harbor. I had four uncles, and I only have one that's alive now. One of my uncles died when he was 19 in a car crash. He was racing from the skating rink, which is something that we did regularly in Ben Harbor, skate. Then I have another uncle that passed from a drug over, technically it was an overdose. Then I had another uncle that died from implications from being addicted to drugs over a long period of time. And I have one uncle, shout out to my uncle Buddis, that's still here. But I have a very big family in Ben Harbor. If you are from Ben Harbor, you are very familiar with the Goodlows, or you're familiar with my cousins, Lisa and Teresa. They're twins, and different. Like, it's only 10,000 people there, so the city is small enough to where everybody know everybody. And I have a lot of family there. But like, gang gangism and gangology was second nature to us. So I did not understand the severity of being in a gang. I didn't understand that um this could mean my life, or that it was some kind of, I didn't feel like I was following anyone or anything like that. I felt like this was my life. Like, this was my life. And I'm being as transparent with you guys as I could be. That I never felt like, I never felt out of place. Like, I never felt like throwing up a gang sign or wearing my hat a certain way um was something that I would need to outgrow, or something that I would need to to put aside to find any type of success in anything else. And I honestly haven't. Like, it was certain things that I took from being in a gang that long, and it was certain things that I felt like was very valuable to me moving forward. What people don't talk about a lot is um what's behind the culture of being in a gang. So you have a lot of principles, you have a lot of values, and it's, these things didn't just come along and it was like, hey, go pillage the city. Like, it wasn't like that. A lot of these things have very detailed instructions that are um not to go and kill the people that are claiming another gang, or to down anything that they have going on. And some of the pillars that these gangs are built on are very strong pillars of um identity. Like, if you take on the identity of some of the things that's within the codes and creeds of these gangs, they are not so negative. I seen an interview where Jim Jones was talking about the gangs being no different than fraternities or sororities or whatever. And he was like, look, everybody had a codes and creeds, and y'all want to make these gangs bad, but a lot of other things are the same as gangs. But they've made this so bad to where we look at gangs worse than we look at the KKK, because they haven't made the KKK a gang. And that's what's going on with Larry Hoover. So you have the KKK, they have killed people, they've killed kids for little to nothing. They've done so much, but because the government has not made them a gang like they've made everything else a gang, the Italian Mafia is a gang, the GD's a gang, Vice Lord's a gang, Crips a gang, Blood's a gang. You have these small gangs in these cities that may only have 6 members, and they are indicting these gang members, but they have never indicted the KKK. They have never indicted these people. They have never indicted the Proud Boys. They have never indicted other gangs that have criminalized you being black, or you being homosexual, or you being any other race other than their race. They have not criminalized these gangs. They have not RICO'd anybody from the Proud Boys or the KKK, and they have a way bigger following, a way bigger enrollment than any of the gangs that they are indicting right now within Atlanta and Detroit and Philly and DC or anywhere else. They are attacking us at our core, and they are destroying our leadership, and they have been doing this for hundreds of years. They have been doing this for hundreds of years. So when I talk about somebody like a Larry Hoover or Jeff Ford or Meach or anybody else, it has to be understood that where I'm coming from is a place of understanding that the streets are as chaotic as they are because they lack leadership. These kids lack somebody talking to them, somebody with a real understanding of what they're going through. You can preach to somebody all day, but if they don't feel like you really understand them, then it's going in one ear and out the other one. But if you have somebody like a Larry Hoover, or if you have somebody like a Big Meech, or you have somebody like Freeway Ricky Ross and different people like that, these people have to talk to these communities and tell them that there is no type of reason for us to be tearing each other down and killing each other and doing some of the things that we're doing to each other. And if you pay attention, the government kept Larry Hoover away from social media. They kept Larry Hoover away from doing interviews and doing things like that. And they kept Meech away from doing certain things because these people are not they're not pushing their agenda. They're going to give certain people as big a platform as they can give them because it pushes the government's agenda. If you look at 6ix9ine, man, this guy hasn't dropped anything worth mentioning in forever, but they'll keep him on somebody's platform because they want kids to know you can snitch and still be somebody on the internet. This is the government's agenda. But you get somebody like a Larry Hoover or Meech or Rick Ross or somebody that does not fit their agenda. They want to silence them as much as they can. So that's why I took to the internet to talk about Meech's situation with the allegations and the lack of paperwork and the lack of any type of proof of him being anything other than he said he was, because they don't want us to ever be strong black people. And it takes us to tear us down. They will use us to tear us down, even with somebody like Malcolm X, right? Malcolm X did not fit their agenda. They killed Malcolm X and they used us to kill us. And now everything has come out how much involvement they had with that assassination. This is not a joke. Like, sometimes we see things that are beyond our understanding and we like set it to the side as, oh, that don't make sense. Oh, it's another conspiracy theory, or is this. But when you start to dig into some of the things that we went through as a people, you start to see that history repeats itself, and it just takes on a different form because they can't do some of the things that they did during slavery because of laws and because of attention being on them. So they use the war on drugs to lock us up and take us away from our family instead of selling us off at some type of plantation sale or some type of slavery wholesale situation. So these are the things that we have to consider. The same way fashion come back, the same way history repeats itself. When you see things like Guess come back in style or Used and Damaged or Davucci or anything like that, and you like, dang, I seen this before. You know, I remember my brother, I got a big brother that's 10 years older than me. And I remember when Jabot jeans like started coming back in style in like maybe 97, 98-ish. And I was like, man, Jabot, this. And he was like, oh, man, we wore Jabots in high school or we this and that. And I was like, man, you ain't got no Jabots. And he literally dug in his closet, like the back of his closet type of thing, and pulled out some Jabots. He said, yeah, we wore these in high school. Like everything repeats itself. So when we look at our leadership being torn up at the seams and we look at how the streets are running raggedy, it's because of what they did to us. Like it's not giving anybody like Larry Hoover an excuse. It's not giving anybody that's, whatever they've went through an excuse. But we have to have some understanding of what's going on. And when they say the system, it's a real system. This man is old enough to not be a threat to anybody, but to only be of help to the people in our community. To he has that much influence to where he could say, hey y'all, let's put the guns down, let's talk. Here we had the foes and the fives get together and say we on peace. I work with people from gangs that were just killing each other 3 years ago, 2 years ago. And I'm telling you, at the point that we're at now, we're on peace, bro. We're on peace. Some of my best friends are Bloods and Vice Lords and different things like that, bro. We not running around banging because you wear a different color at this point. So when they try to scare the community with somebody like a Larry Hoover or Tukey Williams, rest in peace to Tukey, and you say, man, y'all, this not what it is. What y'all trying to do is y'all trying to push your agenda. The government pushes their agenda on us. We have to be smart enough to see it coming. We have to be smart enough to see this coming. So I want to say, with the Larry Hoover situation, the chief will be, he still have a battle to face with the state case. It's still a battle to face with the state case. But I do want to give Trump a shout out for doing what was right. And I still wouldn't vote for his ass. I wouldn't care if Trump freed everybody else, bro. I'm not rocking with Trump. I'm not rocking with Trump, no way. My guy is a Trump supporter. Shout out to my guy Jeter, man. Jeter, the one that sent me the clip. He was like, man, Trump's showing out. But I had already said that. I have said that, and I've said it on live that they should have, he should have freed Hoover. He before all of that, Lil Wayne pardons and different people pardons, man. He's supposed to have been free Hoover. And I'm just glad that he at least started the process, and now it's still free Larry. Shout out to my brothers of the struggle and my sisters of the struggle. It's still free Larry, 21419, and it's still everything. We still fighting. Don't let them tell you that the battle is over. It's still an uphill battle because he got this state case. Um, that we gotta still, push for some leniency so he can come home to his family, Larry Jr. and everybody over there. Like it's a real situation, y'all. And it's so many people in this situation that we need to get the ball rolling on getting some of these guys out of there. They're giving shout out to my guy Rio. So I'm gonna touch base on Rio, the bounty hunter bloods. I'm familiar with the case. Shout out to my guy Rio, free Rio, and the other guys that didn't tell in their case. Rio is doing 30 plus years for being the head of a RICO indictment. Rio didn't order anybody to get killed. Rio didn't kill anybody. Rio didn't do anything that warranted him getting all those years other than him being at the head of the indictment due to his position within the gang. Now, what they did was they used the fact that he collected dues from some of the members of the gang to say that he was responsible for some of the things that they did. This is what I'm trying to explain to y'all. This is a very influential young man. This is a very charismatic young man that was able to raise through the ranks of his gang at a young age. And he did not promote any violence with these guys or do anything to say that go out and kill somebody. If you are not familiar with the bounty hunter bloods, then you can Google the case. I don't want to go into a bunch of stuff. He's still fighting to get back. But basically, Rio was putting a bunch of stuff on Facebook and Instagram. And I say, Rio, you got to stop doing that. Like, you got to stop doing that. If you familiar with my situation, I fought my own federal case and I didn't have to worry about anything being on social media because I wasn't posting anything about what I was doing. And I was telling little bro, you can't keep posting that stuff on social media. And before we knew it, he got this indictment. And a couple of the guys that were in the indictment, they had actually killed people and they ended up cooperating against Rio and the other guys within the gang. And they got less time, even though they were the ones responsible for these murders. They got less time than Rio. And all he was the head of the gang, right? And even though he didn't order anybody to be hit, he didn't tell them to go do any robberies or anything like that. The government sentenced him to 30 plus years in prison because he was the head of this gang and he collected dues. And they said that made him responsible for everything that these guys did. And by the time they went to trial, or everything was kind of situated that he was the leader, he had already admitted on social media that he was the leader. And this was some of the things that I was telling him he needed to shut up about. But in his defense, he was young and, you hadn't seen a lot of these guys being indicted from social media. So Rio wasn't familiar. Me personally, I'm a little older than Rio and I didn't grow up with social media and I understood that anything that you say can and will be used against you, even if you say it not to the police. So they used all his social media posts saying that he was the leader of the gang and they gave him all of this time. And the people that pulled the trigger got less time because they cooperated. And this goes to show you how much the government thinks of the people that they are giving these deals to. If somebody kills somebody, why are they getting less than half the time as the person you say is the leader, but he didn't pull a trigger, didn't order it, didn't send anybody out to do anything? It was no evidence of him ever telling them to do anything of this sort. But he got 30 something years, and some of these guys only got 10 years or 15 years, even though they were the ones that pulled the trigger. So who is more violent? Who do they consider to be more violent? They are showing you who they consider to be the real threat. And these are the people that can actually think. But if these type of people go to prison, let's say they do 10 years and they change some of their thought patterns. I was one of those people. I have always been a leader and I always been on BS until I got my head straight. And let's say this person gets his head straight and now he is leading in a different way. And this is totally against the government's agenda. So if Rio was to do 30 years, he already had some time. He fought and got some time off. But let's say he was to do 30 something years. What is to gain from him doing all of these years? The man went in his 20s. He's coming home in his 50s. He didn't kill anyone. He didn't sell no exorbitant amount of drugs, no crazy pounds or keys of drugs. They're not even saying that he did that. They're literally saying because he said, I'm the leader of this gang, and they paid him dues monthly, that he's responsible for everything that these gang members did on their own time. People, this is exactly what's going on within our community. They create these laws and then they use them against us while they're getting away with murder because a kid went and got some candy from the store and was walking back home. They're getting away with murder, but they're charging us for anything. They're using the laws against us for anything, and they're giving us all the time, and they're making sure we keep their jails full. So somebody like Hoover and anybody else, they are literally just political prisoners at this point. This man is in his 70s. What is he's going? What do they consider a violent or a threat to society? Is this man still a violent criminal or a threat to society? No. They know that he can come home and rally the troops and say, look, y'all, this is what we need to do. That is what they're more afraid of than him coming home and killing people that look like him. They don't care about you. They don't care about you. Every time they bring up good time in the state of Michigan, they talk about how these violent criminals, those, man, good time don't mean you coming home next month. Good time mean that while you're in there, they're giving you some type of leniency because you did something good, whether that be staying ticket free, whether that be getting an education, getting some type of certifications or taking some type of program or anything like that. Why not give somebody incentive to do the right thing? and they're going to tell you, oh my God, they're going to let all these criminals out next week. And they're trying to scare society into believing that these people are going to come home and pillage the village and do rapings and castrations and murders, and all the drugs in the world is going to be back on the street, man. Nothing's going to stop drugs from being sold. Nothing's going to stop guns from being sold. Nothing is going to stop crime from happening. But they don't want a lot of these people on the street because they are leaders. And the worst thing that the government can have in the black community is positive role models and positive leadership doing the right thing. So don't believe the hype. Larry Hoover being free, Big Meech being free, or Rick Ross being free, or any of these guys being free is nothing but positive. Y'all just seen it in the Young Thug case. Young Thug ain't did too much of nothing to nobody, man. At the end of the day, this is all a shot at positive leaders. This is all a shot at anybody that can rally the troops. If you get rid of the head, the body follow. So we are halfway there. Free the chief. Hopefully it's a lot sooner than later. It's still an uphill battle, but I'm telling y'all, it's not what y'all think. Y'all see the news and y'all, he's letting a gang leader go or this and that. Listen, man, nothing within the meetings that I have with other GDs do we talk about anything violent. Nothing that I have within the meetings of other GDs do we talk about any type of drug deals or anything that's pertaining to tearing our community down. I'm working with my brother Phil, who is an active gang member, and we are doing positive things within the community. And I'm working with my brother J Dom in Battle Creek and different people, and we are doing nothing but positive things within the community, and we've grown up. And the thing that they want to tell y'all is that me and J Dom or Uchi Khan, brother Phil, or Sincere, or different people like that that have gang ties, or even some of the other guys like Apple and different people like that, they're going to tell you that we are not what the community needs or whatever. But reality is, man, I talk to police, and not in a snitching capacity, but we work within um certain communities together, and we do certain things together to make sure that the community is safe. They have a PAL league that they just asked us to come and get a basketball team for, and we are doing positive things, y'all. Like, we are not out here throwing rags around and shooting at each other and fighting in the street and doing anything crazy. We not out here with brass knuckles and all of this crazy stuff, y'all. We out here and raising our kids and trying to do something positive, and that's what they don't like. So don't believe the hype. Um, Plenty much love, everybody. And I hope that y'all understand where I'm coming from. Free Larry, free political prisoners, free everybody that don't deserve to be in there, y'all. We fighting an uphill battle, but we gonna make it happen. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. I will see y'all in a couple days. We gonna talk about some business stuff.